Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Cherika Brown, of course. We're on another episode of Cherika Be Talking, cause I be talking. And today we're going to be talking about the topic Ashlee Jenae, who is a 31-year-old woman whose life was taken in Zanzibar, Tanzania on a birthday trip with her older white boyfriend who had also proposed to her on this same trip about 2 days before she was found deceased in their villa that they were staying in. Now, I want to start by saying my condolences to her family, her friends, and loved ones. I hope God gets them through this time, and I hope the truth is revealed so that they seek the justice that will, at least give them some type of peace, because situations like this are always so unfortunate and tricky when you just have to guess what can happen and when stories can go a million ways, especially when you're grieving and your mind is all over the place and you're having to get to another country to solve the mystery of the unaliving of your family member. You have layovers and stuff sometimes when the flights are that long, and it's just a long travel to be going through pain and also having to figure things out, and then you possibly get over there and you don't receive like the help that you really want to receive, or there's some type of language barrier or cultural barrier or anything that could just cause things like this to be so much more complicated. It's so many things to unpack, honestly, on this topic. And at first, when the young lady Ashlee and her fiance or boyfriend at the time popped up on my For You page, it was on Instagram, and I ignored it and I kept on scrolling because I didn't think it was for me. I was just like, this is weird. And I'm like, why is Instagram pushing a lot of like interracial couples like right now? I didn't know if it was her and her boyfriend still. It just seemed like it was a whole bunch back to back. And I'm just like, why are they pushing this to me? Like, I don't date outside my race. I don't, like, what is this about? Like, but I do know that the media is pushing everything interracial anyways right now. So that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But I've just never been intrigued by interracial relationships or people thinking that they have to go outside the race to have access to luxury or good treatment. And when I saw the picture of them like on a flight and, flying private and everything, I'm just like, why is this on my For You page? And then the picture I saw was one of two on, like, the two of them, they were on the Emirates flight, and it was like she was looking at the camera and he was looking at her, with the crazy eyes, as everybody said. And when he was looking into her soul with them eyes, it caught me off guard, because I'm just like, this lighting on this picture, something's just weird, something's off. The whole picture was off, but I just kept going because I didn't know what was going on at the time. I get on TikTok and I saw the same exact picture. So now I'm like, okay, what is this about? I paused and I actually read this time. And in the caption, I found out, oh, so this is why this is trending. This is what's happening. I'm like, wow, this girl is my same age. This is, interesting. So, of course, start digging and everything, and finding all of her social media accounts and just seeing what was the backstory, or how long had they been together. It was just so many questions going on in my head, and I'm sure everybody else had the same questions. And people were commenting things under her pictures months ago when she first posted those pictures with the boyfriend, warning her that he looked scary, and someone even told her like, he is going to harm you, in the comments. I would never comment that under somebody's post, just because even if I don't agree with the way someone may live, I'm never that passionate about it where I have to go and tear down the person, or leave a comment and be heard, or get a laugh out of it, or get a kick out of it, or anything. So I never understand when people say stuff like that, and I believe that the person's comment was malicious. However, people are like making this whole situation laughing stock, like asking the dude like, hey, can you predict my future, all this and that. I'm just like, people are so insensitive to topics and situations, because it's just honestly not a laughing matter, in my opinion. And this girl, just by looking at her social media, I want to keep this very respectful, because like I said, this is a human being. It is somebody's daughter, somebody's friend, somebody, cousin. This is somebody that was important to people. So of course, everybody's going to talk about it because it's out there, it's in the news. But if something likely was to happen to myself or a family member, I would want people to still respect my family because, like I said, it's still a person, it's still a human. But when just reading the girl's page, I can see, like any other girl, she's infatuated with the soft life aesthetic. She was already sold by the lifestyle he was providing her, so all negative comments were just interpreted as hate. She didn't see those comments as a warning or possibly pray for discernment to know what type of man she was dealing with. She just know that this man was giving her what seemed to be a good life. So anybody that opposed it was just a hater. And what do you do typically when somebody is hating on you? You just make them mad. You keep doing other stuff. Like, I'm gonna keep living my life. You hating, you mad. You're not coming at, your approach is not positive when you're coming at me. You're not saying like, hey, I'm very concerned about you, like, let me go and DM you instead of commenting on your pictures and tell you I'm concerned at how this man is staring into your soul. But you're just commenting for laughs. So that doesn't seem like it's coming from a genuine place. And someone that lacks discernment could literally just look at you like a hater. So this young lady parents are both Black, and the girl boyfriend to me looked old enough to be her dad. Nearly. So that's why I kind of searched his name. His name was Joe McCain, I think. And I saw that the man was owner of a crypto company or CEO or something like that. Basically, he got money or supposed to have had money and lost some money in a few years. But I saw that he was 45 years old, which in my opinion is too old for a 31-year-old. I don't look at 45-year-old men and am attracted to them. If we're being honest, even at 30, I don't want a man past the age of 33. I honestly didn't used to date younger, and now I'll go 3 years younger. I'll go 27 to like 32, 33 when I'm dating now. So most people aren't just attracted normally to someone older unless they feel like, hey, they're benefiting in some way or they're getting some treatment that they've never gotten. Most people that date older is because of a mommy or daddy issue, and you could have a present parent and still have a mommy or daddy issue. People don't often understand it. They think, oh, she knew her dad, so no way she had a daddy issue. Having a present dad and dating a man that does not look like him itself is a dad issue, in my opinion. This young lady parents, like I said, they were both Black, and that's a slap in the face to her dad. I can only imagine how my dad would feel if I not only dated a man that is nearly his age, but on top of that, the man looks nothing like my daddy when it comes to cultural background, racial background, and everything like that. Like, that's a blatant choice that you're choosing, and you're doing it for a reason. Rather, I know, even I've talked to, when I was at UGA at school or whatever, I had a white friend that was in one of my English classes, and she had a Black boyfriend. And she was just telling me like how racist her family is or whatever. And she was like, her cousin date Black men too. But she was like, her cousin honestly date Black men because she hate her daddy, her white daddy. And she was like, her dad even asked her, like, you want your kids to look like that? And then she was just like, I was like, look like what? Like, I jumped in a conversation or whatever, and she said her cousin go out and see Black men just because how much she simply hate her dad. And those things are real. Her dad was present in the house with her, but to get back at her dad, and she like, I'm gonna go and do this thing because I hate him that much. I never heard that same thing from Black women. Typically with Black women, it's like to escape what they think is a struggle. Like, whether it's love or finances or anything, they think this other race is something that's going to help them get out of a struggle that they feel tied to. So that's why a lot of Black women that do date outside the race go and try other things. They probably undated so many Black men that their perception is warped, or they just got this idea and generalized Black people, so they think that they're going to go and find better some other place, some magical way. Now, I could only imagine, like I said, how that girl's dad felt. Her parents could have very well disagreed with the relationship simply just because of the age difference, or at least had suspicions, but at the end of the day, she was grown and she makes her own choices. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Some people are saying, oh, everybody around her must lack discernment. Sometimes, even if a parent, even if it's one of two parents, don't disagree with their child's decision, sometimes they look at supporting until they could, break it down, or letting their child go through certain experiences, hoping that the result isn't like a life or death situation. They think that their child can learn from it. You don't want to be too negative, because sometimes when you're too negative, like I said before, is when the person will go harder and fight harder for what they think is best for them or right for them. So they could have just been hoping for the best, like hoping like, oh, I hope she know what she doing. But love is not something to play with. A heart is not something to be played with. Of course, her parents won't publicly express how they truly felt towards the fiance. Like, you can't, that's like expecting people to tell us what goes on behind closed doors, or expecting people to jump on social media and tell you, hey, I lost a lot of money today, y'all. Like, I failed today. People don't do that. They post their highlight reels. They're not going to get on the news and bash their daughter or throw her under the bus and say, I told her so, when the world is already doing that. Why would they join in on beating down their daughter when they're trying to seek justice for her and bring her and figure out what happened genuinely? They're grieving, and at the end of the day, that's still somebody that they love. They're not going to go against her. So I actually saw her parents' interview, where it seems that the dad has a black woman with dreads or locks, whatever y'all like to call it. Because I kept seeing at first just her parents together, and I was like, the video is so awkward. Like, a mama giving like kind of weirdo vibes, and like the daddy seemed a little normal. She kind of looked like her daddy. Like, I'm like, I'm like, but they're grieving, so cut them some slack, stop being judgmental. But I'm like, are they married? Like, because I don't see chemistry. And then I eventually saw a video, and I saw, oh, they're either remarried or dating other people. So like I said, the dad has a new woman, and she has like dreads or locks or whatever. Whereas her mom, possible boyfriend or husband or fiance, is white. Like mama, like daughter. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. Now, this isn't to blame her mama or anything, but it gives me an idea. It gives me an idea to kind of build my own kind of perception on the situation, because I know plenty of black people, even if they are married to black people, they try to place their children strategically around non-black people, because a lot of black people, even if they grew up around black people, think white is right. So it kind of just give me a mindset idea of what I'm working with. And you gotta know to know. It ain't something that you just really say out loud. You just see it and you understand it. It's some people, they weren't cool in school. They weren't that girl. They weren't that guy. They weren't certain things. So they strategically place their kids in certain schools, neighborhoods, and everything, and around groups, and develop consciously or unconsciously this perception that, hey, this is how you become better in life. And it's basically to disassociate yourself with people that look like you, but still have a sprinkle of people that look like you around you, just so you could stay a little hip and stay a little cool, but don't get too close to those people, because these people are the ones that's gonna help you elevate. That's just what my mind says, because like I said, personally, I know people like that. So she could have been more confident in dating this man, because her mom could have encouraged it, or simply shaped her mind on the white race generally. And people love to say, oh, well, we make everything about race, because everything is about race. And you think a topic where we're dealing with two different races, we're not going to make the topic about race? Yes, we are. Because one thing I can tell you for sure, it's very rare that a black person is hanging themselves, okay? Historically, that type of unaliving is done to us by a certain group of people. So for someone to lose, for a black young lady, young woman to lose their life in the motherland in Africa, the place where she's basically disassociating herself with, to while with or vacationing with an oppressor. That's no coincidence. I'm sorry. Things always go downhill when Black people forget that white people aren't some type of savior coming to change our lives. I don't know Ashlee, her mom, or her dad, or anybody in her life personally to speak on their personal lives, but the dating choices alone tells a story. It tells a story. And I don't know how her parents separated, when they separated. Those are things that matter. I don't know, those things could change the perception of her mom with dating and her with dating and wanting different and being scared if she followed her footsteps. It's a lot of things, and not blaming Ashlee's dad at all, but it's a lot of things in the actions that caused him to be outside of the household instead of there with them and keeping the family that he created, that could have changed their perception on men dating and dating inside of races and outside of races generally. Even what type of provider he may have been, even if he was a great provider. Some people find issues with other people just because of bitterness or ungratefulness or unhappiness. So we would have to know these people's personalities and who they are to really determine why they are the way they are. Social media really shows us how precious life is, because one day you're here and the next you're gone. I found her pages and was just, viewing everything like, wow, this girl is my age. Her 31st birthday. You never pack your bags and go on a trip and think, this is going to be the end, like I got 4 more days or a week at most. And, everything is going to be, this is it. Like, this is it. It shows you how precious life is. And one thing that stuck out to me on her Instagram repost was a post saying why Black women aren't dating Black men anymore. And that was extremely weird to me. It was extremely weird to me. People who do things like this are seeking validation and aren't confident in their choices. If you are confidently, authentically dating outside your race, you wouldn't feel the need to justify your actions. Also, you wouldn't give the person you're with the satisfaction to think that they are better than everything that you are. As Black people, we are always Black first. If I so happen to date outside my race, the last thing I would feel comfortable doing is bashing Black men in any type of way, even if the bashing seems like it's logical or it's statistical or anything of that. It's no reason to make that a topic of discussion. If anything, I would feel more compelled to advocate for and to defend Black men. But to sit around and be like, oh, that's why we don't date them, and that's why we don't do this, and that's why we don't do that, because they don't do that. That's not a conversation for the public. That's not a conversation for everyone to be into. That's a conversation for our Black counterparts offline in an intimate setting, because it needs to be solution oriented. Like, what are we going to do to change these things? How can we be stronger as a people? How can we change this narrative and make sure that we're nothing less than the best? But to agree publicly, because she only had like 5 reposts, so you must strongly felt good about this thing, to agree about why Black women aren't dating Black men and feed this negative stereotype is just crazy. It's insane to me, and it's sad, because I can always tell when people haven't experienced, or people don't know men. They don't know men in general. Because one thing I can tell you is that God made male and female, and any man can be dangerous. Men are made to be hunters. Any man can devour a woman. And until you realize that, you're always going to be more unsafe, because just dating in general in 2026 is an unsafe thing. Anything could happen to anybody. Honestly, even if you're being safe, something can still happen to you. Just because People snap. People are crazy and you just never know. But it comes to a point where you have to understand people date inside their race for many reasons. One being that there are a lot of cultural differences. You can date within your race. You can date another black person, but they're different part of the diaspora, and there will be cultural differences that you don't understand. Because one thing I could tell you, Black American men specifically were raised to, respect women. You can start going to other parts of the diaspora, the world, and other races, and you would find out that women don't mean nothing to people. Like, women are just supposed to shut up, cook, clean, and allow the man to talk. You don't say a word. Black American women, we're very vocal. We are very strong-minded, opinionated. We have a backbone, and a lot of men of different cultures and races cannot take that. Actually, they're not used to that, and they will run away from that because who do you think you are? You date outside your race, and what you don't understand is they still cheat, but they cheat in a different way. See, a black man will throw it in your face and it will be something that you can find out. Whereas other people are more shysty and slick, and they have life insurance and plans written up on your butt to get you up out of here. I even saw something on TikTok where they taking women on dates in mountains or on hikes or something and ghosting them. Like, a black man will tell you straight to your face, look, I don't want to be with you no more. Men of other races, they don't have the nerve and the guts and the balls to just break up with you sometimes. They do the most bizarre things that you wouldn't even think that a person can do, instead of just saying, hey, this ain't working and I really don't want to be with you no more. I would much rather a man break up with me in my hometown than to take me to a country and off me all because he just couldn't leave me or see me with somebody else. Like, y'all have to realize with other races and stuff, you can't even get crazy with them and break up with them in person. You got to break up with them through text or over the phone, or take the police or your family member or some witnesses with you to break up with them, because you just don't know how these people can snap. So y'all think that it's so much better because you don't understand and you really don't see how they really get down, because the same thing that he did to this black woman, they do the same thing in their race of women, but it's just more silent. Like, you don't think of the things, the plans that they come up with, because they get so crafty with it. It ain't straightforward in your face. It's more shysty and under the mat and sneaky and clever, and it's like, stop thinking that all men can't do you the same and dog you out. They just do it in different formats and different fonts. Whether they black, white, Asian, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, like, a man is a man. You better talk to women of other races and hear their stories and understand that, hey, I may need to stick to what I know, because what I know may be a little more easier for me to navigate and figure out what's coming my way before it even come my way. Now, somebody and all people, they say this even when y'all see the stories of the black men that date white women and they end up dead too, or unalived. I don't know if I can say this word on here. But people always saying rest in preferences. Dating outside your race is not a preference. I'm not gonna argue with nobody about it. It's not a preference. Preference is like just physical attributes that you would prefer. Like, I want someone fit over fat, or, like slim over, and a stupid preference would be tall over short, and like things of that sort is a preference, because it's what you're like leaning towards. You just thinking it's so much better and attractive. It's simply insecurity to me when you date outside your race, especially when you're trying to actively do this thing and it didn't happen authentically. I don't even know why we spread negativity when events like this take place. Every time I looked at a few stories and went digging, and now of course that's all my For You page feeding me, just people going live talking about the topic and everything. Every time I join somebody live, the topic is something like black women against black men, and why black women don't date black men. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with the story, but using the picture of the girl, just basically to say her mindset or her thought process is all black women's thought and process, that they about to date outside their race and get a better life. We are making each other the enemy. It's always black women versus black men. When I get online, I never see Indian men versus Indian women, white men versus white women, or Mexican women versus Mexican men, or, Asian men versus Asian women. I never see other races going against each other, but somehow they always find a way to put the black man against the black woman when it shouldn't be the case. Most, and I say most very confidently, most black women don't date outside the race. So why, when a situation like this happens, black women are generalized to, y'all think white men treat y'all better, or y'all gonna get better treatment over there, and y'all gonna do this? It's almost as if y'all are celebrating what this man could have done to this girl, and further showing every other white man that our community doesn't care about protecting our women, black women, who are also the most disrespected human on earth, that they can continue doing the same thing. They can continue killing us off and having their way with us. And they will continue to allow them to do whatever and likely get away with it. Like, oh, they still don't care about their people. Look at them. Still mad at each other when the enemy is the white man. I totally agree with not condoning her behavior. Because don't get me wrong, I also saw the tweets where she's saying she want to have mixed kids. And when people are saying things like that, y'all got to realize that is internal self-hate. Saying you want to have mixed kids, like, who even think about that? Who think about kids as if you're breeding some dogs? Like, you want to have mixed kids. Nobody is thinking about that when you're truly trying to find love and you truly love being black. You're not thinking about that. If anything, you fall in love with a beautiful black man or just a black man. Because like I said, I was laughing at this man on Instagram. He said before he date a white woman, he'll date the ugliest black woman. I said before I date a white man, I'll date the ugliest black man. But the internet and public platforms are not the place to bash each other and make outsiders feel comfortable with taking our lives and treating us terribly. And like I was saying, if anything, if you're thinking about children, when you date a black man or something, you're just thinking like, oh, wow. Like you're picturing how y'all kids can look. You're not thinking like, I want to have mixed kids. I want my kids' hair to look like this. Are we breeding dogs for real, y'all? That if you think like that, you really need to figure out how to love yourself, because you don't love yourself. If you actively go outside your race to go and find somebody to be with, you don't love yourself. Oh yeah, another thing, when I was scrolling on TikTok today, she had I guess a close white friend that posted her saying that she would miss her and stuff. And it's just always this little look that black people that hang with white people like have about themselves. And yeah, at a very young age, she knew she wanted what she wanted, and she got what she wanted. And it's sad that it had to end this way. But I look at these things like a lesson instead of like bashing everybody in the community. I hope this is an important lesson for every young girl to see. The grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Black is beautiful. You should love yourself and you should love the people in your community, and always be working towards seeing how you can better your community. This is not to say, hey, don't date outside your race. Like I said, there are very rare cases where you may meet someone that is not your race, and y'all may actually bond with each other, connect and vibe, and actually be equally yoked, but it happens authentically. If you are actively going to seek out people just because they don't look like you, that's when it's self-hate, and that's when it's a problem. Now, also what I wanted to talk about is the flown out culture. The flued out culture, which is just basically men flying women out, has made everyone think that It is just like a part of being in a relationship or even talking to somebody. Vacationing together is now just like, if you ain't doing that, the man don't care about you, or he don't love you, or if he not buying you bags, that it's just not solid, and it's not going nowhere, and this man ain't no provider. Months of knowing a man is too soon to be going on vacation with him, especially far away from home. Now, they said this man proposed to her at the year mark, but when you go on her Instagram, she's saying date night, and they going on flights, and she on private jets and everything. That was all within this year. Like, that was 3 months in, and all of that possibly into dating. That is too soon to be out with a man privately. Now, I can tell you for sure, I talked to a man before every single day. We did not miss a day, and I'm talking about hours on the phone, and he wanted to take me on a trip, and I didn't go. I waited 6+ months of talking to him every single day before I agreed to go on that trip. And I made it known, that nothing would happen on that trip. And what people don't understand is that there's dangers in everything. And just because God spared your life and allowed something to work for you, that's not something you should advocate for. I would never get online and tell girls to talk to a man for 6 months every single day and then go on a trip with him, because it's just not responsible. It's not smart. You should, if you're going somewhere with somebody that you haven't known for years, you should always take somebody with you, even if that person is staying in a different room. You should always be very safe. And it's always better to be safe than to be sorry. We have to stop being so on a lifestyle of luxury that we don't care about our safety and our well-being, because that's honestly what it turns to. Now, I see all the Shira warriors who the lady that tell them to date for money and stuff, they always go silent when it comes to topics like this. And the reason for that is because everything that they promote is basically women risking their lives for a lifestyle. And it's just simply not worth it, not worth the heartache and the heartbreak that it's going to cause your parents and your loved ones. And even with people talking about how her parents made a GoFundMe to get her back here, of course, everybody expect for the husband, he should be able to, or the fiance to be able to pay for her to get back. But nobody knows his real financial situation. They scam just like black people. Yeah, he was supposed to be a part of a crypto company, but who knows? They have so many plugs and accesses. He could have had friends that owned the private jet or knew the owner and were giving them discounts. And you just never know people real life. And social media ain't real. You can't be sold on these pictures and these fake lifestyles that you see. So no one truly knows somebody's financial situation if you're not looking at their bank account. Because when I say white people are resourceful, they have so much access to stuff, they nearly never pay for anything that they have access to. And you don't know that if you've never been around a real wealthy person, or you don't know people that really got money and see that most people with money don't even use money to do what they want to do, because you're so used to the people actually using cash to do things, or actually, paying for things to happen. So you don't understand that the wealthiest people are simply just resourceful. Now, with her parents and, all of that, like I said, we will never know possibly the full story. The most we would know is whatever the hotel tell us. Like, I think they said her mom spoke with her when they had an argument before they separated the two. So she likely told her mama what they was arguing or disagreeing about. So her mama can kind of piece some things together and figure out who lying and who ain't, and based on timestamps and stuff, a little bit more than the public will ever know. Because like I said, they're still their daughter. They still loved her, and they're not about to get on here and publicly bash her and feed into the negativity and the narrative that everybody else is painting, because they need to protect her image and her legacy. And they're grieving, so they're not going to tell anybody anything, and rightfully so, because it's their family personal matter. It just so happened that their daughter lived a life where she showed her life on social media, so people are going to talk about it when it make headlines. But yeah, y'all be safe, and really vet people out, and don't be scared to date people and draw and make it long and stretch things out. Because one thing about it, a man that's not for you, the longer you withhold things from him that you think men want, is the more he'll reveal himself to you, and the quicker he'll leave if he feel like he didn't want you anyway, or if he had bad intentions. When you push things out further and don't be so quick to do things with men. Another thing, doing things too quick with men, whether it's sex, traveling, or introducing him to your family, anything, when you do things too quick, some men will look at that as a weak person or desperation, or, you know, just you're not used to things, or this is the first time you've been treated that way. So just move slower. That's the only thing you can do. You got to move slower. You got to pray about it. Get honest people around you, and don't be that person that people can't be honest with, because some people don't tell you the truth because they don't know how you perceive it. And even if you do get mad at the truth, tell people around you, like, hey, please tell me the truth, because I might get mad at first, but I might end up saying what you know, was saying, and I could save my life. Because a lot of times you can't even tell your friend the truth about their little relationships, because they'll think you hating, especially if you're single. But I say, if you see something, you should tell people. How people perceive it, that's on them. But y'all know I'll be back, because I be talking. Peace.